The magic of the moment. The forest sang with life. Birds chirped in the canopy above. The wind whispered through ancient trees, and the soft rustle of leaves accompanied the rhythmic footsteps of a wandering poet. His boots, worn and dusted with the dirt of 1,000 roads, carried him toward the distant crash of waves. Slung over his shoulder was a leather satchel, its corners frayed, filled with parchment and ink. His clothes, once vibrant, had faded into earthy hues, blending with the forest around him. But his eyes burned with curiosity, reflecting the golden sunlight that filtered through the trees. He crested a small hill and paused. The scent of salt on the air and the faint roar of the ocean growing louder. There, perched at the edge of the forest, where the land fell into the sea, stood a figure cloaked in emerald green, a pointed hat tilted just so. A witch, the poet murmured, more in curiosity than fear. The young witch was gathering flowers from the cliffside. Her long auburn hair danced in the sea breeze, and her cloak shimmered as though woven from sunlight and shadows. Around her neck hung a simple vial of clear water, catching the light like a star. She worked with unhurried grace, plucking blooms and arranging them into a basket lined with moss. The poet stepped closer, careful not to startle her. His voice was warm, like the crackle of a campfire, a strange place for a witch to gather flowers. She looked up, her green eyes as sharp as the cliffs behind her, in a strange place for a poet to wander. The poet smiled, tipping his hat. "I follow where the words lead." "And I," she replied, plucking a golden flower from the grass, "follow where the magic grows." Curiosity drew the poet closer. "What are you making?" The witch held up a basket, its contents a vivid tapestry of colors, a charm for stillness, for those who can't stop chasing what's ahead. The poet raised a brow. "And what's wrong with chasing dreams?" "Nothing," the witch said, her tone gentle. "But dreams mean nothing if you forget the beauty of where you are now." She gestured to the scene around them, the waves crashing against the rocks below, the horizon stretching endlessly, and the wildflowers swaying in the breeze. "Do you see it? The magic here?" The poet hesitated, then knelt to touch the grass beneath him. It was soft, cool, and alive. He let his gaze wander to the ocean, the sunlight dancing on the waves, the salt air filling his lungs. For the first time in a long time, he paused to feel it all. "You're right," he admitted softly. "I've been so busy chasing words, I've forgotten to listen to them." The witch smiled and placed a small flower in his hand. Magic isn't always in the grand spells or distant horizons. Sometimes it's in the rustle of leaves, the touch of grass, or the crash of the waves. "Smell the roses, poet." They sat together for a while, sharing stories and the silence of the cliffside. The poet scribbled lines into his journal, inspired by the moment, while the witch hummed softly, weaving her flowers into charms. When the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the ocean in hues of fire and lavender, the poet rose to leave. "Thank you," he said. tucking her flower into his satchel. The witch nodded, her green eyes glinting with a knowing light. Words and magic, they're not so different. Let them remind you to live. As the poet disappeared into the forest, the witch turned back to the ocean, her basket now empty, but her heart full. The wind carried their laughter, blending with the rhythm of the waves. A song of the present moment. Magic is not always found in spells or faraway dreams. Sometimes it's in the world around us, waiting to be noticed. The end.